Thorgrim Grudgebearer once again sat on his throne in the halls of Karazakarak. His large army was assembled and ready. They had fought bravely at the Battle of the Mountain Corner, and for that the heroic units deserved titles. He gave a unit of quarrelers the title Steel Bolts and another Iron Bolts. He named a unit of dwarf warriors Grumbling Axes and another Iron Fists. And to the heroic miners, he named them the Tunnelers and the Goonies. The Greenskins took Varenka Hills back, once again separating the Dwarf Kingdom, but not for long. Thorgrim moved to take it back, but they were ambushed along the way. While marching across a river, orcs appeared in the hills and trees in front and beside them. Thorgrim quickly took stock of the situation. The stupid orcs had only attacked from one side. It would simply be a matter of turning his army to face them. The question was only which forces to attack which point. The orcs moved quickly and hit his lines while Thorgrim was still sending orders, but they were smaller in number, and the dwarves on the ends were able to envelop the attackers. Thorgrim ordered everyone to fight whatever was closest to them in whatever largest numbers they could. The front was the weakest, and they fought valiantly, while in the center they swallowed the orcs, giving them no escape and no quarter. Soon the rear had entirely enveloped their enemy, but the front was barely holding on. So Thorgrim rushed his forces forward to the island just behind the front line, while he personally rushed the enemy archers. The Tunnelers, the Goonies, and the other miners were at the far end, so they swept around toward the enemy flank. The others maneuvered toward the opposite flank to extend the line. One unit of warriors fought a unit of orcs separated from the group, easily routing them. And though victory came to the dwarves, they had surrounded the orcs, so they did not intend on allowing them to escape. They wanted to finish them off here. Any prisoners they took, they executed. Thorgrim was done playing around with these monsters. Now the reformed army of Barak-Var, under the command of Birnoth Grundadrak, son of Birnak, emerged and traveled through the mountain tunnels to appear next to Varenka Hills. With armies on both sides of the town, King Thorgrim attacked and took the settlement. The kingdoms of the dwarves were united again. His work complete, Thorgrim returned to his capital and left the valley to Birnoth. Thorgrim rebuilt his army and marched down the mountain again, ridding it of orcs. Birnoth moved to relieve Barak-Var of yet another attack, and more orcs came in behind him to besiege Varenka Hills. Tired of the back and forth, Birnoth set to annihilate all orcs in the region. He cut down their armies and executed the prisoners. They were to leave the valley or die. Having done this, he moved on their city of Barag Dawazbag, laying siege to it. Another orc army attacked from behind, and they went to battle. The situation was almost exactly as it had been when Birnoth's father had died. He chose a similar strategy, focusing entirely on the nearest enemy to destroy it entirely before moving on to the other. This time, however, he had a swamp in which he placed his gunners and bowmen. This would slow down any attack on them. He placed his warriors along the gap between the swamps, and his miners along the flank. As the orcs moved in, the miners moved along the side. A gap was formed in the main battle line, and Birnoth ran through it at the archers. The other orc horde was crowding in behind them, so Birnoth turned his miners to go after them. That horde's cavalry rushed ahead and hit his warriors in the back. It was already beginning to look grim, like the battle where his father fell. But the dwarves did not give up. Slowly they defeated the enemies they were engaged with, and they turned to face the oncoming army. Birnoth saw the situation and backed his warriors up behind the swamp. The miners, who had not yet been in combat, were placed to the sides as a flanking force again. Some of the dwarves were still fighting the first army when the second arrived, but the miners were ready, and they moved in on the orc flank. The battle was fierce, but at last the orc line splintered, and soon they were running for their lives. Birnoth Grundadrak had had his revenge. Further to the east, Thorgrim Grudgebearer took Iron Rock. Now victorious, he called upon the oaths of old to unite the dwarven clans, and he moved on Black Crag, the gateway to the orcs of the south. There he laid siege. Birnoth then turned to his final foe and attacked. He had the high ground, and no more trickery was required, but he pulled one anyway. He moved his miners to the right, which shifted the entire orc army. Goblin riders attacked his left flank, and he sent a force to deal with them while the rest of his army rushed the orcs from 2 directions. The battle became scattered, but toe-to-toe. The dwarves were better warriors, and they routed the army. Birnoth chased down the survivors and killed them to the last snotling. Thus, the dwarves of the north were victorious and united. But there were still more dwarves to unite, and the orcs to the south swore revenge.